All right. Hello and welcome everybody back to my channel. I am joined today by a very special guest, Yssah. Welcome to my channel. It's nice to have you.
Oh, thank you, Sherry, for having me. It's a full pleasure to be here
Yeah.
with you and you all.
And so we met several years ago briefly at a conference and we didn't get to spend much time together, but I am a huge fan of your work and I love all of the scientific details and the metaphysics and everything that you get into that is I'm admittingly saying it's over my head a lot of the time, but I love that because it just gets the mind thinking in a much broader perspective. So I'll give you a quick intro, and then you can let everybody know a little bit more about yourself. So you're a cosmic experiencer. You talk about being a living template of unity consciousness, which I absolutely adore. You are such a bridge of wisdom. You talk about holofractal science and igniting the primordial codes, which I want to get into that. You are a speaker internationally. Like I said, we spoke at a conference at the same time. We didn't get to spend much time together, but we definitely will change that. You're an author. I love that you're such a big collaborator. So that is such a brief introduction to Yssah. So Yssah, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. How did you get started? Let's start from the beginning. Like day one, what happened when you were born? I'm just kidding. No, just start from the beginning.
Okay, so I was born one day at noon, I don't know, one sunny day. uh, ever since I was a little girl, I would have visitations of shining beings, actually of like all type of beings, from the lower frequency ones all the way to the highest frequency ones. And yet, the ones with low frequency would not be interacting directly with my field, they would just be observing me.
Mhm.
Um, and then the visitations of the shining beings started to be started being more constant. So then they would just be gathered around my bed and start doing things around me. So in the beginning, I was kind of scared. I would always go running to my parents' bed. But then they were communicating telepathically with me, telling me not to be scared, that they were there for me. So then, like, all that range of interaction started being interrupted by other beings, like those lower frequency beings that started to get more direct into my field. So after that, like there was a very interesting foreplay in between beings around me. And then I began being taken, by these shining beings. I remember like I would go to my grandparents' house at least once a week. And every time there was a huge portal there. So every time that I would go there, I would leave like a thanking note to my parents and my grandparents for being there for me, for bringing me to this reality, to this world, and that it had been a pleasure, because deep within me, there was this feeling that I didn't know if I would be coming back. So I would leave the note and go to that portal. And when every time that I would come back, I would see that the note was still there. So then I would keep it again with me. So, like the same thing over and over again, the same dynamic. And then, yeah, then I started having interaction with other beings that were not very pleased, with my interaction with these shining beings. I just want to say that because I think this is very nourishing for your audience, for your family that supports everything that you share, which is amazing, I must say.
Thank you.
I'm very much in resonance with it. And I would say that these shining beings, they are ourselves at a higher dimension. This is what we are meant to be, shining beings, because our biology is capable of that. Actually, we are being required to do that to enlighten, not only in the spiritual form, yet literally. We
Hmm.
can go into the scientific way. We are able to ignite, to enlighten our body through the plasma technology and so forth. So that's one of the major messages that they would give to me, that one of them was me from the future, and that they were preparing me for something very specific that would, at some point in my life, it would be very clear. So they work with geometries. Every time that they come, it's very difficult just for one to come. They normally travel in groups. Why? Because they keep a high coherence by by the unified field that they create. So every time, even if you see them, like just out front, they are creating, if you, let's say, scan how they are coming together with one another, they are creating a geometry, so that geometry protects them from different elements in the field, whether beings, whether the very same gravitational field, and so forth. So, and they communicate as well through geometries, telepathically as well, and frequency as well. They don't talk. So every time that they communicate with you, they are expanding geometries all the way into your field, and your own geometrical field, your own geometrical body, because we have a geometrical unique signature. I call it the source code. Then it starts responding to that frequency, those frequencies, geometries that they are emitting, and then you start to interact with them. And this is just at the basic level. If you're going into a more advanced level, what will happen is that you start co-creating other geometries with them, and that those geometries start to permeate within the field, and then influence the spatiotemporal constants, of course your DNA, and therefore the space-time fabric, which is mainly shifting realities. Let's say accessing to that akasha, which is a space memory network, and bringing in codes from there. But that's actually doesn't happen, like outside. It's all within, through
Hmm.
your own DNA. When you're activating and deactivating codes or specific genes, then it is a transmission that goes back and forward, in which you are actually influencing those timelines. So therefore, any timeline or spatiotemporal constant that was weak and was not showing in this reality then starts strengthening, and the other ones that were not, uh, let's say that the best ones for you to inhabit, or the most coherent, then start weakening. So there is a very interesting interaction. Also, you can branch into higher dimensions. You can call in for the architects, the light architects, which are beings that don't have a shape. Even these beings, they adopt a human figure, a humanoid figure, so that the impression that our awareness has is not so dramatic. Yet
Yeah.
actually, most of them are, as they are light, they can embody any form
Hmm.
that they want. Yet when we're talking about these architects that are kind of the same family, they are an extension, even some of them more evolved, then that's why you can access to that high technology of even at some point creating universes within arcs. By arcs, I mean like as the Ark of the Covenant, which are power sources. So then you configure their information and then leave it nesting for when the time comes. Then through your own frequency, the own frequency that you're emitting, you're unlocking that arc, and therefore start branching it out, or configuring it within your own reality, and therefore having creating ripples in time.
Hmm.
So then, I started interacting, and this is, like I'm just really packing it up. And thank you for asking this, because this is the first time that I go deep into their
Well, so
technology.
how old? So people have an idea. Like, how old are we at this point in your story where like all of this interaction is occurring, and how much of you are really consciously understanding what's happening?
what's happening here, or at a
When you were
different.
that age, like, you know what I mean? Like, were
Yes.
you consciously okay?
Yeah. Okay. So no, actually, well, the funny thing is that for me it was kind of normal, everything that I was doing, and even my comfortability with them was so strong that I would even care if I would stay there.
Yeah.
This is why I would be leaving the note. It was like, okay, thank you, farewell. You know,
Mhm.
so I was very comfortable with them. I felt them, as part of me. Yet, what happened next is that for my own security, they projected screen memories in my reality so that I wouldn't fully remember, because they knew that I had to go to very specific experiences as a human, so that it would be really tough for me to keep that reality and having the experiences that I had to go through. One thing. And the other thing, that it was very important for me to go through those tough experience human wise, because the work part of the work that I do with the codes, which are sacred geometries, and like deciphering galactic codes from ancient artifacts, galactic artifacts, and so forth. They hold a lot of energy density. By this I mean light. And normally when someone thinks about light, then you say, oh wow, well, you will be, like super comfortable, and your reality will be super harmonic. Yes, the thing is that when we're experiencing this reality, the simulation, we're talking about a very low frequency, because that's how it's anchored through the gravitational field. So when you're bringing so much light, then a decompensation happens. And if you're not well anchored in your axis, if you have a not proper dominion of shadow, then you will stumble. You will go into a huge process, psychosis,
Yeah.
like ungrounded, like many things that can come from that. So then I had to go through that experience of density of shadow work, however you want to call it, that then it enabled my access to be comfortable with that wholeness. This is why I call myself also a unified consciousness template, because it allowed me experiencing a lot of things in my life, like from the most sublime to the, like really low points in in a reality that can be touched, created the full spectrum within me, and feeling bliss by it, feeling comfortable with it. So yeah, and then like, so then it was like going into forgetting all of that, experiencing, like the other reality, like religious wise, materialistic wise, like I just forgot about all of this. I was very much into the simulation. And then when I became a teenager, things started to pop up again. Oh, but I forgot to say one thing. Like I did not subtly, like immediately forget about everything. I was still remembering, and it was really tough for me, even though I they had already placed screen memories in me, very beautiful ones. But I could still, remember some of the things, mainly feeling that there were things, energies, all kind of energies around me. So then one day when I was 12, an angel embodied as a Hindu woman came to me. I was in Spain, and the elevator opened, and there was her, and she gave me the most loving look. She touched my face, and then she touched my third eye. And after that, I stopped remembering for a while until I became again a teenager. And then I started to, it was unstoppable. So when I, around then my 20s, I started speaking in other languages. My family was really spooked about that. They thought if I was going crazy, or there was, like kind of possession in me and so forth. So then they just we all chose just, to for me to go somewhere else. And then I went into this holistic center that was also, very much involved in treating, like all type of let's say, um, like dysfunctions, whether cognitive, psychologically, um, like addictions and so forth. So then I went to that holistic center, very much focused in meditation, and it was very funny because even I had just arrived, and people would come to me to receive counsel. So even the same therapists that were there thought I was a
Yeah.
therapist. And like weeks after, the owner of the center offered me a job there to give therapies. So yeah, that
That's
was
incredible.
yeah, that was very interesting, to say at least. So after that, I started through meditation, and then I knew that I was going to be pregnant of my daughter Sophie at 30. And that was when I fully started remembering. It was a huge rebirth, and it was way unstoppable. Like people started to come into my field. I just started to connect with genetics, because those are very much into my memories of how genetics function, how to restore the luminous DNA, so forth, geometries, codes. Yeah.
That's incredible. I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. But I have a funny question. When you said that you're speaking languages, because I know someone watching this is going to ask, was it more light language, or was it actually like other languages, like, Chinese, or like Mandarin, or, Portuguese? Like what were the
Uh,
languages you started speaking?
they were ancient tongues.
So ancient
You
tongue.
know?
Okay.
Yeah, it
That's
was
kind of
very
what I
much, yeah, like Kemetic, Egyptian,
thought. Okay.
Atlantean, because the frequency was really strong.
Yeah.
It was like I was at that moment, like through that frequency, cutting like a lot of energies that were entangled in my field. And it was because I was already getting prepared for that next
Yeah.
adventure.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, because I think that that's the challenge that I'm seeing a lot with children that I work with. The children being born today are way different than the children born uh, previous generations. They are holding more light, but like you said, in how it was challenging for these physical bodies to integrate a lot of this light that's coming through. And when I connect with the higher selves of these children, and even some of my clients, they used to come through their guides, or they would come through and they look like a feline, or some sort of hybrid being, or a manta being, whatever it may be, Arcturian. And now they're coming in as pure light. I'm seeing that more than I have ever seen in my entire career. And I'm communicating with them through these light codes that I don't understand consciously, but I'm downloading as they're coming through. And more children are starting to write out these geometrical codes, and people are spontaneously writing out these codes, and I think that ancient codes, galactic codes, cosmic codes. Can you talk about, because you mentioned, one of the things that you do is um, we're activating, and I think we're all activating this divine unity consciousness by the human design, like where we once were anciently, not where we have been in the dark era, but where we are returning to. I like to look at. Um, do you agree with me that more and more people are just spontaneously aligning with that higher blueprint, so that these things are just coming through naturally?
Absolutely. I was yesterday talking to Arcturus Ra. We did a show together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him that one of the codes that I have received is that the axis tilt that the Earth shows, we know that it's not original. You know, something happened, a planet collapsed, and then it created the axis tilt, and that enabled the process not only of the precession of the equinoxes, yet also um, the the anchoring of the simulation matrix through very specific algorithms. Why? Because when we talk about the simulation matrix, we're talking about that they use the holographic field as a program to create a program like a computational program with
Mm-hmm.
very specific algorithms, numerical values, and so forth. So by events that happened, they take like very specific values imprinted through those events, turn them into numbers, and then embed those numbers into our alphabet, into our language, into everything that we use, so that every time that we are speaking, thinking, time, and so forth, we're anchoring those algorithms that
Mm-hmm.
continue to perpetuate the simulation matrix. So just and so one of our missions is how I have received and perceive it and experience it, mainly embody it, is that we are meant to restore our true north, beginning with our heart, because our heart is presenting that heart axis tilt. So, and when I talk about this, like a lot of people says, like, "Oh, but come on, you know, like," but well, actually, I have a lot of resonance with people about this. Yet they are the ones that are speculating. But that, how is that going to happen? Like literally, physically, you know, like you restoring your heart. Because what I say is restoring our heart to the true north, and the implications to that is that our feminine won't be only the one into the feeling aspect, into the loving aspect. Because unfortunately now is like, oh, the feminine energy is the one carrying, you know, like the feeling codes, the emotional ones, and so forth. And naturally, organically, it's meant to be, you know, equidistant. And so forth, that will help our brain hemispheres. So then when we aligned it through our plasma technology, that happens the same as our pineal gland. When it's dormant, it has to levitate 45 degrees in order to be aligned to our facial chakra here, this antenna, the one in the upper back part of our skull. This is why a lot of galactic beings have their elongated skull, because it's like a huge antenna, and we have that technology. So, but anyway, so when you're talking about the kids and you know how they are born, how they can be related now into having uh, a simpler way of perceiving life through our original cosmic blueprint. Arcturus Ra mentioned that there have been cases registered of kids being born with their heart already in the center.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was not aware of that. I was aware that we need to, you know, bring it back to the center, but not that. And for me, I got so excited, I got so happy that I said, yes, yes, that's it, you know.
Well, you know, if
So
you Google it, there are actual, and this could be a mandala effect or a timeline shift, but there are an anatomical photos that you can look up now that shows the heart actually in the center. It's crazy. So I completely align with this. Is like such a fascinating conversation because I
yeah,
love the science. I love when you mix the science and the spirituality together. To me, it's like this cosmic orgasm. It's just absolute pure bliss because then you're it's like the big picture, and it's so important to bring these elements together. So yes, he's right, and there are actual anatomical images that show the heart is in the center. Amazing.
Yeah, I was cheering yesterday, and now, like right now, because seriously, when I was given this information, when I remembered it, it was like, okay, so just I won't give it too many thoughts, just focusing and giving the command that your heart is fully
Hmm.
aligned to the true north. And the craziest part, because it's easy for people in this path to feel that, it feels organic, it feels right. The craziest part was trying to explain this to scientists at not only at a biological level, yet mostly at at an astronomic level. Like the Earth at some point it's meant to regenerate its axis tilt all the way to the true north, because then again I know that that's we're talking that's a little requires a little bit more effort and depends on many constants. Yet I'm just going to place this, through the quantum field and the holographic field. If we are if our reality is a reflection of who we are within, that will happen inherently. Like something will happen, let's say an astronomical event, another meteorite, boom, axis tilt going back to, or let's say just changing the timeline, as you said, Mandela effect, where all of a sudden we have restored and corrected the timelines and branching into the right one where our Earth is aligned to the true north again.
So let me ask you a question, because this is something that I have been thinking about a lot, and I'm not a researcher, so all of the information that I get comes through the sessions that I do with my clients of all ages. And it's so much fun, and it's like every day reading a book. I have no idea what's going to be inside of it. But one
Yeah.
thing that I'm noticing, and I think it's funny, but not in a haha way, but a synchronistic way, that you keep mentioning True North, because I have recently done a few videos, and I've been talking a lot with children about finding their North Star, which is essentially the same thing. Now, my question to you is what has been coming through me recently through sessions in different ways. Oh yes, meteorites and this and that could occur, but do you think that we activating our consciousness and truly aligning with our divine blueprint, the more of us that do that in this timeline, in this now moment, we actually can shift the axis back to its original blueprint of Gaia? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I absolutely believe it. I think that we do tend to underestimate our power.
Yeah.
Yet, seriously, for every time that we are as a collective fitting an idea that is manifesting, that is actually, that can create such a strong field, that imagine how I see it is when we step into a truth, and by truth, I mean what is most coherent to us at this moment, then we start to create a super powerful frequency in comparison than if we are connecting with a truth that at that moment for us it is, yet it's not creating coherence at all in our structure. So imagine like like a curved person saying, okay, yeah, this is truth. Yeah, this is the truth. This is absolute truth. And with another one, that truth expands you, and you're saying, no, this is the truth. It feels right. I sense it. Yeah. So therefore, the one that is all corked, like all
Hmm.
compressed, is emitting, like a very distorted frequency. Whereas the other one, it's fully coherent, it's expansive. So
Yeah.
then you get a lot of those beings in that very same frequency. And what happens is that that frequency from within, you are already shifting your
Hmm.
DNA. You're activating dormant genes, which sustain that frequency. Otherwise, it would collapse. So you need your biology to sustain that frequency. And as you're activating those dormant codes and deactivating others all together in unity, then those codes start signaling all the way to the space memory network to generate coherence as well. Otherwise, the reality would collapse. So, at a quantum level, what happens is that that signal, if it's not connecting or in resonance to the timeline that is present right now, it will start by the very same resonance finding the timeline that is in
Hmm.
coherence with that frequency. So then you have all these beings emitting that very same frequency. What will happen next is that that timeline in coherence to what those beings are emitting is the one that prevails, is the one that strengthens, and the other ones start weakening. Why? Because your presence is not anymore in them. Your code might be, but your presence, your vital force is not anymore in them. So then they collapse, and then an alpha spatiotemporal constant appears.
I completely agree. It's like rewriting this unity consciousness. The reason it's so important that we work together, and the reason it's so important to the this matrix to continue on in such a low density field is to keep us dormant, is to deactivate us in many different ways through division, through programming, so we don't know, we don't understand, and we don't come together. But this unity consciousness truly is about coming together and connecting our consciousness so that we have a wide, vast network of knowledge that we can work from. The spectrum, it just is completely infinite. And when we start to combine that and the synapses fire quantumly, there that we really do truly become unstoppable. And that is the biggest fear of what's happening right now with this ascension or great awakening or whatever we want to call it, is the fact that we are coming together. And I think that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And something that you said made me think about something I want to talk about, because this is, I believe this is something that you work with, which is artifacts. Now, talking about dormant DNA, there are artifacts all over the world, as well as structures all over the world that at one time anciently, outside of this linear matrix, it's happening right now, but inside this linear time matrix, at one point had many purposes, many uses. They were portals, they were activators, they were healing devices, so many things that have been dormant for centuries because of a lot of reasons that we just mentioned. And they're activating now. And people are finding their tribe. They're more attracted to find, like the Persian in me is like, I have a Persian ancestry. I know it anciently. So there's a reason why I was so attracted to the Persian culture. And now I'm married to a Persian and my children are half Persian, right? So I found my tribe, even though I never felt like I fit in this lifetime. So people are finding their ancient culture, and then we're activating and becoming in alignment with the resonance of that. But these artifacts are also activating as we activate along with them. Is that making sense, what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, it absolutely does. And this is one key that the more that I go deep into myself, the stronger that it gets, and is the more advanced that we become in mastering unity consciousness, uh, the wisdom of higher dimensions, the more simple that it gets, the simpler that we become. And by that is empowering the heart and the heart brain. And for the heart brain, something happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about frequency than understanding words.
Yes.
Understand, like words do carry a frequency, yet it's if you don't embody that frequency that you're emitting through words, then it's the egregor's frequency that you're emitting through them. So they won't echo, they won't generate an echo.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're truly embodying those words, regardless what you're saying, you're transmitting the purity of your message. And why I'm saying this is everything that you said made sense, at every level. Yet, even more so, the frequency from where you express it, it creates such a huge echo in everyone that you share it with, that it's bringing in the message. And that happens to me also when I talk about codes or science and so forth. People tell me, I'm not fully aware of, well, not fully understanding what you said, but yet it makes sense. I felt the integration within. And why I'm saying this as well is because that also happens with artifacts. When these ancient alien artifacts show all these majestic codes, symbols, perhaps you might say, like, what is this? What does it say?
Right.
However, the moment that you start putting your fingerprints on them and interacting with them at the sensorial level, hypersensorial level, you can feel how the registers, how the information that they are embedding, it's being like it's immediately mirroring into your own DNA, into your own cells, how they are communicating with one another. And if you focus in trying to understand what they say, how they were used, you will start creating like a barrier. Because, for instance, it's like when you meet a patient, like a client, if you immediately go forward and saying, okay, so tell me, what brings you today here? Perhaps if someone is very intellectual, it will work. But if someone has been closed for
Mm-hmm.
years without interaction, it's not the way to approach. Okay, so tell me, what are you
Yeah.
doing here? Yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you need to feel, to
Yep.
tune into its field so that it slowly opens up, feels comfortable with you, and opens up. It's the same with the artifacts. And the beginning, it will show to you this huge spectrum of energy, of all the energies that are entangled with them, spirits, entities, fractions, fractures, and so forth. So that then you start clearing it, and then it will start opening up. And yes, they had many utilities, many. And this is where the interesting part or funny part comes when I translate them. They are, as you well said, in this linear, like from a linear approach, they were called ancient. They were used once, and now they are popping up into the surface and immediately shaking our reality due to the
Right.
level of energy and light that they have. Yet, within their multidimensional nature and ours, it's inherently that whether if you're aware of it or not, they are emitting millions of
Mhm.
infinite realities in which they are simultaneously existing. Let me say this in other words. While it is, let's say, it opened up, it already showing to you who that consciousness is, where it belongs to, what's its purpose, whether if it's a device, whether if you can activate it as a stargate. Okay. And now it's also showing to you that that artifact is simultaneously existing in another reality, and that reality is actually, you are there, you planted it there, and in another reality, just before you as Sherry walked into that land, let's say you're excavating, you're digging, and you go there to that site, and then just before you started digging, that version, another version of yourself in
Mhm.
another coordinate of the space memory network or akasha says, ooh, she attended the meeting. Okay, so then let's project quantumly through plasma that device that
Yes.
was sent there. And why I'm saying this, perhaps it can be a little bit complex in the whole explanation. Yet, if you tune into it, if you see many of the artifacts, the way that they are found, if you go just through the linear form of perception, it just won't make sense.
Yeah. Yes.
It's you really need to read it through a multidimensional perception so that you're open to receive all the jewels that those artifacts have for you. Like for instance, me, the one that I have behind, I translated this code, the one at the center, 7 years ago.
Hmm.
7 years ago. And I have, hold on, I have a medallion. I have, like, you see this code?
Yes. Uh huh. No, no, you had it right there. That's good.
Okay, do you see it's the same? And actually, this has a variant, but I have the same. I
Oh,
have it in a medallion. It's the same. You have the eye, you
oh
have
yeah.
the extensions. Okay, so this is also like an extension because normally the one that I have is, let me just show it because I also have it here. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So when this was sent to me, I was like, well, this I full like it was like wow, like tears and many um, things happened in my field that day. I received another one that has this exact code that is very much similar to the Buga code. The chip, how they call it. Do you know about the Buga?
Well, let's tell the audience because I'm sure they have they want to know.
Okay, so the Buga just to go quickly through that, is well, perhaps I can share images. Then it will be
Yeah.
way easier than
Sure.
just you know um, talking about it because always images bring a different connection to what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
I love visuals.
yes, and okay, here it is. Um, And now here we are. Okay, so this is the Buga. And this Buga was found in Colombia, in the city of Buga. This is why it received that name. And it was found levitating, not flying, levitating. It has levitating technology. And when it like when it hit like a high voltage cable, it went slowly to the ground. Now there are many versions, whether if it's reverse engineered from the like a very specific lab made by humans, and they reversed engineered this technology from galactic groups. um, that the encoding here, it is comes from a video game, many things. What
Hmm.
I am not getting into that because anyone can believe whatever they want. What I can tell you is that I have been there. I have felt the sphere. I have communicated with the sphere. It is communicating with a lot of people, and if it was reverse engineered, it wouldn't have that level of technology, like
Right.
spiritual connecting with people through dreams, through visions, and giving spiritual, um, let's say, messages. Perhaps it would be mind control. We know that that technology does exist, but it wouldn't be very much, into high messages of sovereignty and evolution. It would be more about like distorting your field,
Uh-huh.
lowering your frequency, and so forth. And it's not. It's actually showing very positive interaction with people. And So even, and I'll tell you again from my experience, you can see that this code is very much similar to the one that
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is.
even when I first saw it, I saw the connection and I didn't say a thing because I said, okay, I don't want to look like too egoic, like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I decoded this, you know. But yet people that have seen this code started contacting me and telling me, did you see your code in the Boogosphere? And I was like, well, it's not my code. I translated. It is a very important code. Yes, indeed. It represents the unity consciousness and it actually unlocks it in many ways. This is one of the ways that I work with people holographically and in with other technologies. And so then other artifacts started showing with this. You will see here. Uh, Here you can see these artifacts that have this is a bad picture. I'm sorry. Um, okay, here it is. Here you can see these artifacts that have the
Wow, it's
same
big. Yeah.
code.
Yes. Wow.
And yeah, and these are just true, like there are thousands of artifacts that appeared before this Boogosphere appeared, before. I'm talking about 15 years ago. And
Wow.
that now that this sphere has appeared, okay, people is putting it together like, oh wow, I had one artifact with that symbol, plus the ones that are being found with actually the symbol that have been recently found. So how can this happen? Well, how I see it is like this is signaling and opening the field for all of this to start showing up into the awareness of people and then start manifesting and materializing into this reality. Let's say drops of consciousness,
Yes.
drops of consciousness uh, uh, permeating into this reality because this technology is working through a time clock that it was sent here with that purpose of awakening people, of bringing them into unity or unified consciousness, because the very same codes that reside within this code are permeated within the primordial matrix that is branching into this simulation matrix,
Yes.
because this is indeed that interconnectivity, so it's bringing it back again, restoring
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Let's
I'm geeking out over this conversation because this is super right. It makes so much sense, and people need to really understand this through the science that you're sharing. It's like the matrix has these zeros and the ones, and it's all algorithms, like you mentioned. It's these codes that are coming down, and these primordial codes and this light language and these symbols are now coming into the unity consciousness of those within this matrix of these ones and these zeros, and now it's going into the algorithm, and it's shifting, and it's completely transitioning the entire blueprint of our reality. And so it's these codes are finding those that they're connected to, right? So the people who are
Yes.
meant to read them and understand them, like you, they're finding their way to you, whereas somebody else on the street randomly that would pick it up would that doesn't have a connection, no better or worse, or has have anything to do with that. They just that there's no connection to it, they're not going to really have that heart connection where they feel it energetically and understand the meaning behind it. So these codes are coming into our reality and shifting everything. And that's why everything is amplifying right now. And it's so powerful. Were you showing something else?
Yes, yes, I agree. I'm sharing it because it's perfectly cohesive to what you're saying.
Yes.
Like when I was meditating with the Buddha sphere, this magnificent being appeared to me, but we were at the lab, and among many other things that were shown to me. And I even said my friends, which are the scientists, we're all scientists. I told them, because they asked me, what did you see? Because I guess I was making like these weird faces, like I don't know. And what did you receive? And I was like telling them, and I described this being full of light, emitting all this light, surrounded by a circle, and having codes. And then we went to my friend's house, one of my friend's house, David Avila, who is one of the main researchers of the Bugasphere here in Mexico. He's creating this fantastic book about the Bugasphere. It will soon be published. And one of the pages in his book shows this image. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like so excited, like, this is the being that was shown to me, that showed to me himself to me, and so those things, you cannot make them up. It's like that's pure communication with a higher dimensions, you
Yeah.
know so, and this tablet was found in Mexico, in Ojuelos, and you see he's carrying the symbol,
Yes.
and he's going into a wormhole and into a sphere, because again, one image can, well, not can, means many things.
Right.
So one of the aspects, it's a wormhole, and then it's projecting all the way to this reality, as this small being with the small spheres. And in another uh, portion or fraction of reality, uh, his projecting himself into that sphere, which again is then projecting the information as light through this being that is giving the spheres to these Mayans.
That's incredible.
Yes, yes, it is. It's fascinating. Every time, one of the ways that I can also feel the purity of this is because every time that I talk about this, it brings, like tears to my eyes of joy. That now this has been now found. So yeah, let me just go here.
I need to have
Um,
you come back on another day where you literally just share, like, when you were a kid and you had show and tell, you share all of your photos and all of this because it's fascinating. We could be here for hours talking about all of this, but I really appreciate you sharing those visuals because people are very visual, and I think that our reality is bombarded with the wrong visuals to keep us blocked, to keep us suppressed, because we're so focused on the lower density visuals, and all of you know what I'm talking about. But when these things come into the surface of our awareness, whether we see it through the picture right now that you just showed us, or you get actually have the honor of being able to see it in real life and hold it, um, you can still have the same visceral reaction. And all of us are activating in such a beautiful and multi-dimensional way right now that it is, there actually are no words to describe what's happening to us. And I think that they, like you said, when you were a little girl, like some of these beings were versions of you, in the perceivable future and in the past. And I think that that's what's happening to a lot of us right now. There are so many versions of ourselves overlapping in these different realities to activate this now moment, this now timeline, so that we can call back the purity and the unity consciousness once again. So I'm so in love with the type of work that you do. And I tell everybody, um, what do you talk? So when you do your conferences and you present, are are these the types of things that you present about? Are there more things, or what are your favorite things that you like to present about it at the conferences that you go to?
well, I present on different topics every time because there is so much to share about that I think that it's important. Right now, I have been focusing on the source code and the genetic cymatics signature technology that I have developed. Let me just talk a little bit more about that,
Yeah.
because I know that it might sound like, like, what
No,
is
let's
that?
talk about that. That sounds great.
Yeah, because actually I will be talking about that in one of my next conferences, the one in May in Sedona, Rise of the
Okay.
Guardians. Because you know about cymatics, like you put a frequency and then you have these metallic plates, you put sand on it, and then you play a frequency, and then the frequency goes into the plates and then starts creating frequency geometries,
Hmm.
symmetrical geometries. Okay, so those are called cymatics, and they show that that's what constructs reality. Like if right now I play, let's say, 1,111 hertz, that frequency is creating a geometry in my field, and that geometry connects with my own geometry. As I was saying in the beginning, like if you right now use some glasses, like in infrared, let's say, glasses,
Hmm.
and you're capable to see, your light spectrum, you will see that you won't only see your silhouette, you know, you can even see your own geometry. I'm not talking about the Merkaba. I'm not talking about the infinite flower of life, or, like all these blueprint geometries or space-time geometries. I'm talking about like your fingerprint, but yet at a cosmic level.
Right.
So that, when you're aware of that and activate it at its full potency, like you can activate your brain. We know that our brain is just working at a very specific percentage. We can fully activate it, and then we will be more than geniuses,
Yep.
So also that happens with our source code. When we activate it geometrically, then we are taking our multidimensional embodiment to the next level. Psionics, um, memory, recall, traveling back and forward in time, like all these things are visible because we activate our signal to source and to the highest forms of consciousnesses, the highest dimensions. So then that's one aspect that I am talking about, showing how this functions, like how going from a partially activated source code or geometrical body, you go into the full spectrum, creating a sphere, which is your plasma body.
Yeah.
That expands your rainbow body, which is that capability of becoming light. So now that also has an emission at a genetic level. So every molecule, every blood drop starts to create that geometry, those cymatics. And when you access to that, you access to a very specific song, let's say song, because that frequency transmits cymatics, those cymatics, that geometry transmit a very specific sound. Imagine you placing that sound, putting that sound for you to listen to it every day. You're communicating with your DNA at a
Yes.
a sort of universal language. So that's creating full coherence in your field. So that's what the technology that I'm bringing, so that you know what is your genetic cymatic signature, how to activate your source code, and I'm doing it through an online course now and through the conferences that I do,
Yeah.
because yeah. So
We should talk a little bit more about that because what you're saying is extremely important right now because I work with children who can hear their source code, they feel it, they smell it, they sense it. They're already actively aware of it. It's happening in real time right now, and it blows my mind every time. And what's terrible about the adverse aspect of that is that that is the reason why they create the distorted, disruptive music that we listen to and they bombard our children with on a day-to-day basis, so that instead of them being surrounded by their own harmonic frequency and tones, they are distorted and disrupted by these absolutely horrific frequencies that are disharmonizing them, disconnecting them. And that's why it's such a big deal, the music industry and what they're doing to these children, because they know that the children are tuning in. And so I've been working with children in ways to, block that out, but to tune more into their own harmonic frequency. So we should talk a little bit offline on maybe ways that we can coordinate or collaborate on
Yes.
a children's class, a children's version of what you're doing, because it's so important that we protect these children from
Oh, yeah.
the attack, essentially the psychic and energetic attack that they are receiving. I mean, us too, as adults. I mean, a lot of people, the serial killers and people who go out and do crazy things, are listening to the most atrocious music right beforehand. It gets them aggravated, upset, and agitated. And next thing you know, they do something absolutely horrific that they wouldn't normally do. So I resonate so much with what you're saying. It's so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I will love that. I will absolutely love that. Actually, I'm already seeing how yeah, we can talk
We'll talk.
about
We'll talk a
that.
little bit more offline.
It's perfectly with the other things that are coming up now. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna have to do a part two, but um, you should tell everybody how they can find you. What are your known at this point conferences that you're going to be doing, or things that are coming up for you in 2026? And I think you've written some books as well, right? Yeah,
Yes.
tell us about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Well, I'm going to one in January, which is CLE, Conscious Life Expo.
Okay.
Uh, I was invited to talk because I'm part of a foundation, the Guardian Artifacts Guardians, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And they are actually promoting from a very uh, from a space of integrity, the sharing and use of these artifacts, of these ancient artifacts. So I'm coming more as from the cultural aspect of it to explain how these artifacts are meant to be used, what are their, I'm mainly from a unified science and spiritually approach. I will also be talking with Trevor Miller, who I already did the webinar, the show, the podcast panel with Emery Smith together. So we will be talking about that in Conscious Life Expo. Then so mainly just to break it down, we will be talking about how to use, understand, and connect with these ancient alien artifacts, whether if it's from distance or physically, so that you can receive from the activations and also exchange your wisdom, because this is always back and forward, back and forward. So this is very important. And how can you share your wisdom, your codes with that artifact, so that it funnels all the way to the network that that artifact is connected to at a quantum level, and therefore spreading seeds of consciousness, of unity consciousness. So and very much explained from a scientific level as well. Then on March, I was invited to present on the alien event.
Okay.
um, I will be sharing on the technology of the spectral spheres, which are like the Buga sphere, and I will also be sharing about how these spectral spheres are reversed engineered from our biology and from the quantum. So therefore, how you can access to that information, in situ right now. And then I also will be talking at the Rise of the Guardians in May.
Okay.
I will be talking about what I mentioned, and I'm also a part of the foundation, The Way of Being. So we will be launching it the Rise of the Guardians. And as a foundation, we have the purpose of, we have 7 pillars. Each one of them is focused in bringing that unity to the collective by working, creating together. We will be delivering workshops on many, many topics, retreats, bringing the indigenous tribes together back again so that their wisdom can be delivered into this, and now working with kids, many ways. So yeah, uh, and well, so for now, that's what's coming. Well, also like sacred trips to ancient sites in Mexico, in Egypt. I will be sharing the information later
Okay.
on, but definitely trips there as well, Egypt and Mexico.
So where is the best way people can find out more information about your trips, your website? Are you on Instagram, Facebook, all of those things?
Yes, Facebook, which is Isha R Sleep, YouTube, which is the same, or Isha R Sadi Libyen. Then my Instagram, which is also the same as Facebook.
Okay.
My webpage, www.hunuk slash akna, AKHNA.com, which is actually the name of this code, akna. Uh, and then you can access to see, like well, right now I must say that the only course that I will be delivering in a while is the one on the source code,
Okay.
because my time bandwidth is it's what it's allowing me to.
Yeah,
So
I totally get that. I totally.
yeah, so if you want to join this course, if you're interested on joining before me presenting in Rise of the Guardians, you can also write to uh, omnivision dot hunuch, HUNUH, at outlook.com.
Okay, and don't panic, people, about remembering all of this. I will put all of this information in the description. We're gonna have a pop quiz later. Everybody write it down and see if we get it correct. No, I'm gonna put it in the description so everybody has it. But it's always nice to broadcast it and ask as well. Uh,
Yes.
Isha, I could talk to you for a whole other hour if you would be so kind as to come back. Maybe we can do a part two after the holidays.
Absolutely.
And there's so much more I want to get into with you, and I just feel like you and I are on the verge of something together. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited about this connection with you, and thank you so much for coming on today and talking to our audience and explaining things in a very powerful yet clear way. I respect people that have so much integrity when they speak, and they're very clear, and they explain it in a way that people can really understand, and you do that very well. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your beautiful audience, your family, for watching us, for joining us, and everything that you said. I mirror into that. I'm more than looking forward to connect more, to be here again. You can also be on my show. I will love that. I have so much questions to talk
Yeah.
to as well. So yes, thank
Well, this
you.
won't be the last of the two of us, but as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope this video and conversation has found all of you well. And until next time, see you guys again really soon. Bye.
Thank you.